Good morning, everyone. It's October 4th, 2022. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you all for being here. It's a nice sunny day. First order of business is the minutes. Does anyone have any corrections to the minutes?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Ketchmark?
thank you. Under the first paragraph there where I made a correction last week and another correction is needed on the comment, if we could just sum it up to say, Risk Manager Dahl advised the board that there would be no insurance rate increase to Wright County if the $90,000 wasn't spent on the surveillance cameras. And that's all I have. With that, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes with that correction of the correction.
I also have one very small tweak under the advisory committee updates. So Real Hope is spelled with R-E-E-L as, because they make videos, so that's where they get the real from. Instead of, I didn't think to spell it out. But, all
I'll second the motions.
right, with those two corrections?
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Minutes are approved. The agenda, is there anything that needs to be added or subtracted?
Madam Chair, I'd like to add to the agenda under items for consideration, the scheduling of a committee of the whole to discuss election work group findings.
All right, with that addition, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda, is there anything anyone would like removed for further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Ketchmark?
Thank you. Letter B, number 2, the tobacco violation appeal under finance for discussion, clarification.
Okay. Anything else?
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by Commissioner Delyden, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Wetter. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Commissioner Ketchmark?
Oh, thank you. Well, I received some information regarding an appeal of a tobacco violation from Emma's Express. And with the information that I was provided, it listed, by my math, that the business had 3 prior violations in 36 months, and that the violation noted on 9/22 of 22 would be the 4th violation in 36 months. And I see that they appealed that, and I'm just wondering if we can hear from finance exactly where the correspondence is that determined that this isn't the 4th violation in 36 months, and that the penalties that are listed here would not apply as if it was. And I've had discussion with staff beforehand, and they know I'm bringing this up for discussion today because it just wasn't clear to me. Thanks, Tyler.
Welcome, Tyler.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. I can just kind of lay out the dates here from when they had their violations. So their first violation within this 36-month period would have been 8/13/2019. Second violation was 7/15/2020. I will note that we didn't have any penalties issued due to the pandemic. And then their third violation was 8/4/2022. And so I think Emma's Express, they've kind of shown up on our violations chart a couple times. So I think we just made a mistake in issuing that 4th penalty, but kind of upon further review, we saw that they've only had 3 violations within the 36 months. So we're just recommending that we bump this down to that third violation penalty.
So Tyler, on the list that I have here that's got Dooley's Petroleum on the top, it lists what looks like a violation 923 of 19, and then one 715 of 20, and one 88 of 22. Are you saying that the 923 of 19 isn't the correct date, and the correct date for that one was 813 of 19?
I have a sheet right here. I have their 2019 penalty as being 8/13/19. And so I did the math earlier. We still fall within that 36-month period. I think we're at 35 months and 22 days from that violation to this current violation.
Oh, so even with if it's 813, this is still the fourth in 36 months.
This will be the third. I think their previous violation of the 2019 one was in 2016. So kind of going back, I have one from 8/24/16, no violations in 17 or 18, then a violation in 19, a violation in 20, and then a violation in 2022.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Ketchmark, I'm not sure if the notation you have there, where you got that additional date in 2019, but that could have been an educational check. HHS and Public Health was doing educational checks underneath a grant that did not have any penalties associated with them.
Well, I got this from the finance department. Would you want to take a look at this, Tyler, maybe? And
I have the same one in front of me. I have it listed. This came straight from Dooley's Petroleum, so this could have been the date that they paid the fine instead of the date. I have what I'm tracking here is the dates where the compliance checks were failed.
Commissioner, Madam Chair, Commissioner Ketchmark, I believe I heard you say that there was a violation in September of 2022. That's not correct. We did the checks in August of 2022.
So the 8/8 of 22 is the most recent?
The actual date of the check, I'm not quite sure of, but we have not done a check between August and today. There was only one check, one compliance check done in 2022.
Okay, because they note in this letter 9/22 of 22, and I thought that was an additional one.
That could have been, I think that's what they're referring to is the date that they received the penalty or the penalty notification.
Okay,
So I have it listed by the dates that they've listed they failed their compliance checks.
okay, then I do get three. This was, the last one was the third then.
Yep, correct.
Okay, well, the way it was worded, it looks like there was an additional one on 9/22 that would be in addition to the ones listed on the chart here.
Yeah.
And that wasn't clear until now. And I'm sorry if I didn't get it, but you laid it out there now and I do. So I understand why it's not considered the fourth in 3 years. Okay? All right. I just want to make sure we're going to be consistent because there's potentially others during COVID that the window is still going to be there.
Yeah, I think we're still counting those as violations. We just didn't issue penalties for those violations. So for the other stores that failed compliance checks in 2020, they'll still count towards that 36-month period when we're accounting for our compliance checks, but we wouldn't have issued a fine in 2020.
Okay, so the correspondence that went out during COVID, was it clear to those that violated that this will count, but you're not going to be fined?
I wasn't with the county. We haven't been able to locate any documentation or correspondence with the vendors from 2020. We can look into that and see if we have some records of letters or notes that were sent out to stores. But as of right now, I haven't located anything that kind of explains why we waived penalties other than it was just noted on the spreadsheet that we didn't issue fines due to the pandemic.
Okay, I'm just kind of bracing for the future in case there's others. It might be worth digging that up.
Yep.
But that's all I have then.
Just their appeal was requesting to go to the third violation.
Yes.
And I would make a motion to approve that recommendation then.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark, seconded by Commissioner Delisle. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Moving on to our timed items, and we have Mr. Virgil Hawkins.
Morning, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners. Today, there's one highway item for your consideration, and it's a request to approve Agreement 22-50 between the City of Cokato and Wright County. And this is an agreement for development, industrial park development in Cokato along our Highway 3, which requires mitigation by turn lanes being built on Highway 3. The City of Cokato approved this agreement at their council meeting on August 15th.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve Agreement 2250.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Fetch, seconded by Commissioner Wetter. Any discussion?
What? Did she?
I said
She
second.
did.
Oh, I didn't hear
She
that.
was a little quieter and just maybe a hair.
Oh, I didn't hear her. Okay.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you, Virgil.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Ross Demont.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So today, just have one item for Parks and Recreation. That's staff is requesting to accept a donation by resolution from Deb Oldner in the amount of $1,250 to be set aside in the Robert Nye Regional Park Fund for the purchase and installation of a memorial bench at Clearwater Pleasant Park.
Right.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the donation from Deb Orner in the amount of $1,250 for the memorial bench.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Fetch, seconded by Commissioner Glyden. Any discussion? Always nice to get these donations. Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner, we'll start with Commissioner Glyden.
Aye.
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 All right. Resolution passes 5-0. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you.
All right, it's not quite 9:30 for the public hearing, so we will move on to our items for consideration. So we have, first up, Mayor's Association membership dues. Administrator Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This was brought up, the recent Mayor's Association meeting about the request to the county to pay dues to this organization. Put this back on the agenda for today for discussion. I think two things: we could certainly add this to our memberships that we pay as part of the budget, simply that. I don't know if they had requested a specific dollar amount that would come from the board, but just would accept approval of that today.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the membership dues for the Mayor's Association.
I'll second it.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Vesh, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Essentially, it's to cover the cost of the dinners. So it's which is fair, and I don't know why we didn't do it years ago, but I think that that's a reasonable request.
Well, and the venue
And-
space and other things that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's other related costs, but, and quarterly meetings, so it's not and I think that if it comes out of the commissioner's budget, that's fair. But,
Madam Chair. And I thought someone was gonna give us what the dues were for today's discussion. Did anybody get that?
Did not, I'll have to follow up with them.
Because like I mentioned before, it's kind of a unique circumstance. I mean, this week we got township officers, we go there as guests, we go to a lot of meetings as guests. If we wanted to look at the cost, and I don't know what it is, but I don't necessarily have to have the meal. If the consensus was to just put us on the agenda as a guest and we show up and talk and not have the meal, I'd be fine with that too. But I just thought I'd throw that out there for the discussion purpose, having in mind that we did make some cuts, I think, that we're in that category of the per diem and membership type of category. But without the cost, it's kind of hard to know what that is, but.
and they didn't tell us the number that night, they just said it was minimal, so. To me, that means it's not gonna be $1,000.
All right, I just thought I'd throw it out there. I don't need the meal to show up and give updates, so I just wanted to throw that out if there was an interest in just being guests and not breaking bread with them. But if we want to continue to do that, that's fine.
I think that's really part of the whole gathering, to have your discussion and to break bread, so.
Okay.
It's an economic, it's really to showcase communities is really what I think a lot of it, what it is to bring the cross-section of the county to a location for that they can showcase it, educate people on what they're doing within their communities. And part of it is taking them to different venues within their community, and that's hence the reason that they do that.
And it's good for us to see that, because we might not get to all the different districts during our time. Schmitter?
Madam Chair. And also, a lot of times we talk about things that wouldn't necessarily be brought up at the meeting, you know, per se. So what's going on in their particular city or, so.
Madam Chair, on a side note, I will say at the last meeting, I learned an awful lot from the Army Corps of Engineer. That was a phenomenal speaker. I did not know half the stuff that they did, so it was very nice.
Right, and they
very
didn't
educational.
mention the project at Pulaski, you know, putting in the original pump, but, and the mayor didn't, I was gonna mention it, and I didn't, but,
I know too much about them already.
all right. So is there a motion? Do we make a motion?
Yep, we're past
did a
discussion already.
Motion, okay. Motion and second, our discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion passes. All right, the items for the county board workshop next Tuesday, the 11th.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Had put the three items as listed for the next upcoming workshop. One being the assessor wishing to discuss the contracts for the upcoming assessment with the townships that the county is contracted with. Secondly, we've had discussions about the board meeting schedule and that process moving forward. Wanted to revisit that. Thirdly, we've traditionally had a legislative meeting on legislative items that the county is interested in with our legislators towards the end of the year prior to session beginning, so wanted to discuss that for this year's. Any other items you wish to add?
Can't think of anything.
I
All right,
guess that's
yeah, I-
consensus then.
That's good,
Okay.
consensus?
We will add those in agenda appropriately. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Item number 3, Commissioner Vetch.
So the election work group has met a couple of times here, and we've kind of come to an end where there is some looking to get board's guidance on some requests and to inform you on kind of the information topics that have been covered in the meetings and the subsequent conversations, and looking to schedule a committee of the whole to do so. Looking to do something between October 10th and really kind of wanted to not be any later than October 19th.
So what are you looking for, a separate meeting?
A committee of the, yep, a committee of the whole, yep.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
how about
Commissioner
after the workshop next Tuesday? 11th?
And you don't want to put it on the workshop?
I guess you can put it times in the workshop and have it, I just put it as a time.
I mean, we've got, you know,
It does, I mean, whether it's part of the workshop or a committee of the whole, it does, it's a
yeah.
potato. I just wanted to make sure that we could have a definitive time, because if there's outside people that are wanting to attend it, I don't want them to have to wait through other items for it. And hence the reason I was
Or
titling
we
as a
could just set
committee of
it
the whole.
as a committee of the whole after the workshop at, say, 10:30, and then if it isn't until 11, but I don't know if
Well, yeah. and
we'll
I
have more
guess-
discussion. It looks like about an hour and a half's worth of discussion on the workshop now, so.
I would be willing to say
10:30?
right now at 10:30, we'd be pretty safe on scheduling that committee of the whole on that.
All right. Work for everyone?
Yep.
I'd look for a motion.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Vetch. Committee of the whole, 10:30 on the 11th.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Wyden.
is there some written documentation or something that you'll be providing us ahead of time?
Yes, staff will have something sent out, I'd imagine by Thursday this week with kind of the requests and some of the information that has been discussed in.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, none opposed. That meeting is set. Moving on to the Personnel and Employee Relations Committee minutes, Commissioner Ketchmark.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So Personnel Committee met September 27th. The ask from Health and Human Services was to combine .5 min choices position with the current another .5 min choice position to create one full-time equivalent FTE, a public health nurse position. And they made points about the department struggling to meet the demands to serve the clients in a timely manner and without additional staff, client services would continue to be delayed. And out of that, the recommendation was the current 2 part-time positions, 1.5 public health nurse and 1 vacant .5 min choice person will be combined into 1 full-time public health nurse position. This position will be filled by increasing the hours of the current public health nurse from part-time to full-time, effective immediately upon approval of the board. Staff is asking the Personnel Committee to recommend that the county board eliminate the vacant .5 min choice position and change the FTE status of the current part-time public health nurse to full-time. So with that, Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes. With one correction on the last line there, it says, Goodrum explained that the department had requested a new full-time, that should be social worker, rather than a public health nurse, which was declined during the budget request. So I'd make a motion to approve those meeting minutes with that one correction and the recommendation.
Madam Chair, may I interrupt? Actually, I talked to Jamie in the hallway, and the actual request to change on the minutes is that last line. Goodrum explained the department had requested, it was actually a part-time social worker, but it was not, and it was not declined. It was actually asked to be removed from our request as part of our trying to reduce our budget amounts. So it was never brought forward. We took it off trying to meet budget demands.
So the clarification.
All right, so for the minute taker, can we amend it to what Jill said? Okay, otherwise my motion will stand.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark. Excuse me. Take over him.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ketchmark, second by Commissioner Dahlhagen. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. We're at 9:23 here. We have a few more minutes. We can kind of go into advisory updates. Waiting on the public hearing. Administrator Kelly, you have any notes you'd like to add as advisory updates?
Sure, just kind of an update, and board, you'll see a lot of our, starting to work on our Q3 and Q4 of the year. Some of the annual meetings that we have to do, be working on that, coming forward with information. Just a note, as you know, we are in the middle of negotiations with our 7 groups, have already met with 2. Things have been going well with the initial meetings thus far, so I think that's all I have for today. Thank you, sir.
All right. Commissioner Ketchmark?
Thank you. Fair Board meeting, and they had a question, and we should just get it on the record, and somebody can get back to the Fair Board. They're wondering how the billing's gonna be handled on the new roofs with the deductible and who that's gonna go to, and if you need a email address or something, someone could maybe contact me.
Okay.
But they inquired about that, and I didn't have the answer. The other thing, we had the walkthrough of the old government center last week for the entities, township and cities, and that went pretty well. There was a good turnout, and a lot of things were claimed and later removed, and it went pretty smooth with the help of our maintenance staff with Alan and Peter. But people were generally pretty happy to get what they could get out of there, and there is a lot of stuff. I don't know how much is gonna be left after that, but it was a good opportunity for them to take care of their needs with some of that office furniture. And that's all I had.
Regarding that office furniture, or the equipment that is still around that nobody had requested, are we intending on putting that on the auction, or what is our thoughts on it?
Sure. So we have to inventory everything that's been taken as part of this process, and once that's gone, we'll take a look what's left. Some of it may be worth selling via auction, public surplus. Some of it may just be discarded depending on the condition, so.
Okay, good. Last week, Thursday night, the Planning Commission met. A number of items, nothing real pressing. Although it did go until about around 9:30, so it was a little bit longer than it had been lately. There was a approval of, was it Apple Jacks or something that the board had approved. Greg, can you, what was it, wasn't there something on the expanding, it was for the corn,
Apple Jacks?
Apple Jacks, so
Yeah,
it was
Madam-
that corn thing.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner Dahliten, they have a corn pit that they put a covered structure over. So they got a CUP to expand their use to allow a covered structure over a corn pit.
Yeah, they put up a portable one, which was the corn, I thought was interesting for the kids to play in. I guess the farmer kids aren't allowed to play in the corn there, so they can go over here and play. And then I met with a number of groups from Wright County Community Action, Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, other organizations, and we approved some federal funding for food shelves between Wright County Community Action and also Monticello Food Shelf. There's a lot of requirements involved in that funding, and the other food shelves haven't expressed any interest in doing it, so it was just split between, and it's not a whole lot, but it's, every little bit helps when it comes to those food shelves. Other than that,
So, Madam Chair, would you like your gavel back?
Sure.
And prior to doing so,
Advisory
want to see
committee.
if we go back on the committee of the whole. I forgot to make sure that we checked with all the proper staff is available for that committee of the whole, because it's important that we have the election staff available as well as the attorney's office present for that meeting.
Madam Chair, we do have a conflict. We are training some election judges on the 11th during that time frame that the committee of the whole for the election committee was set up. So if we could please adjust that so that Tyler and I could be there, that would be fantastic.
And do you have a recommended time?
Would it work for that following week on the 17th, Monday the 17th, or Tuesday the 18th?
The 17th, you want to go after Economic Development Authority at like
Yeah.
9:30 or 10?
10.
10 o'clock?
That works for Tyler and I.
Okay.
So we'll give them, gavel's back to you, so I'll let you.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to set the committee of the whole for October 17th at 10 a.m.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Vesh, second by Commissioner Delighten. Discussion?
no.
Or, I'm sorry, Ketchmark?
The
I knew
other,
who said
the other
it.
Commissioner Delight.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I appreciate that. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, Lindsay. All right, so we've got a few seconds before our public hearings, so we'll. It's 9:30, and we have Mr. John Bowen. The item is the Rockford Lake Improvement District public hearing. So John Bowen.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Today, we have a public hearing scheduled at 9:30 for the Crawford Lake Improvement District petition. The statute requires the DNR issue an advisory report. I've been in contact with the petitioners as well as the DNR land use hydrologist. Her name is Kathleen Metzger. And due to some scheduling conflicts, Ms. Metzger and the petitioners just haven't had sufficient time to get together and have a thorough conversation about the improvement district and what the advisory report would look like. Rule 6115-0970 sub 6 permits the board to continue or postpone the hearing to allow the parties additional time to prepare for the hearing. As the board is aware, this advisory report is necessary and quite important to a full hearing. It's also required to be read into the record, so we really do need that report. I spoke to Administrator Kelly prior to the hearing today, and he provided me with a date of November 29th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. That would take place at the county board meeting in this boardroom here. Because we do have individuals present who I do believe are here for that public hearing, and because we do have the public hearing set for today, I do believe it would be proper to allow public comment if anybody wishes to give public comment today. Otherwise, we can reserve public comment until the November 29th meeting. So I would ask that this hearing today be continued to November 29th and allow anybody to provide public comment at this time.
Mr. Bowen? So if they provide public comment today, they would not be providing the same public comment on the 29th, is that correct?
I would, that would be correct. I mean, they could if they wanted to. It would be duplicative. It will still be part of the record, though.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to,
Continue?
at this point, to continue it?
You do.
Go ahead, Greg.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dolan, and I would ask that you reserve that until after any public comment is complete.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Would anyone from the public like to speak? Would anyone from the public like to speak? Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm Alicia O'Hare. I'm the Water Resource Specialist for Wright Soil and Water. And I just want to take a quick opportunity to lay out a couple of items that is available to the lakes of Wright County. These are not exclusive to lake entities such as lake associations or lake improvement districts, but sometimes they are facilitated better in these ways. And I just wanted to make sure that the members of the public are aware of what we offer. So a little bit of specifics on Crawford Lake. It is what we call a prevention lake. The last time it was monitored was 2008 and 2009, and it's about half of the threshold for being impaired. So we consider it a prevention lake, a lake that needs observation and occasional action in order to prevent a decline in water quality. And some opportunities we have are our lake sampling program, which Crawford Lake has not been a part of, but it costs the lake entity about $300 a year, a little less than that. That includes the sampling and the shipping. We do get a group discount through Wright Soil and Water, and as well as shipping for a fraction of the cost. So it really is a good deal to do that, and it allows the lake to continue to watch its water quality. We have an outstanding record in Wright County. There's some lakes that go back 20 years of continuous data. We have AIS treatment opportunities. We offer a grant each year. Crawford Lake currently does not have any listed aquatic invasive species aside from curly-leaf pondweed, which isn't officially listed, but we do have, it is grant available. In the past couple of years, we've given up to $1,000 for curly-leaf pondweed treatment. We have AIS inspections, which allow an AIS inspector to be at the landing in order to prevent an AIS from entering or coming out of the lake. We did do about 10 hours of inspections on Crawford Lake this year. That was resulted in 4 inspections. As a lake improvement district, they could do that themselves. They could get the delegated authority from the DNR and hire their own inspectors. Or they could still contract through Wright Soil and Water at our contract rate plus a small administration fee. And finally, I just want to emphasize that we have local and state cost share for conservation practices for lakes that, and Crawford Lake is in a targeted area. So there are benefits to that. So again, there's no necessary need for them to be a lake improvement district or a lake association to access most of these opportunities, but I just wanted to reiterate them.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll close the public comments, and we would look for a motion to continue or Attorney Kreiser, is that correct?
Madam Chair, when you said close, you perked my ears. It's more we're continuing the public comment
Right.
to another date. So
Okay.
it's not technically closed at this point in time.
All right.
Madam
I will
Chair.
rephrase my gavel strike. So yes, we are continuing the public comments.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to continue that public comment to November 29th at 9:30 a.m. in this room.
All right.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Leiden. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Madam Chair and members of the board, and for anyone from the public who's here from the lake, this is your notice of the public hearing being continued. We are not going to mail it again. So it's part of the record here today, so it's being continued. Just so you know, nothing else will come in the mail or be published.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So you're in the middle of the advisory?
Madam Chair, yes, Administrator Kelly, Commissioner Kaczmarek, and Commissioner Dahlheiden
All right.
have already.
Thank
so
you.
I guess you're up to
Yeah.
yourself.
All right, I'm not contagious, I just have a little sinus thing going on, so, anyway. All right, I can go last, so if you, Commissioner Vetch?
So, Madam Chair, board members, I appreciate you making do without me last week as I was at an Energy Transition Committee meeting up in Cohasset. We were touring the Boswell plant. The Boswell plant built in the 1950s. They have 4 units up there. They've closed 2 of them. The last 2 remaining units are posed to be entirely shut down by 2040, as Minnesota Power has their carbon-free plan to be enacted kind of subsequent to that 2050. The conversations at the meeting itself were largely around the Energy Transition Advisory Committee plan. This is what we've been working on months after months to get this together. If you haven't noticed, the county, Mr. Holler had pushed out I requested him to push out a survey that we're encouraging Wright County, Sherburne County residents in this area to take this survey regarding energy transition and getting the public comments on it. Surveys in the past hadn't reached quite the level that we would want. So it's kind of, the question is out there that is, does citizens really, are they concerned about this transition or are they not? I'm happy to say that since that push was put out on the county website and the county Facebook page, 95 shares, tens of thousands of views on it. So I'm expecting to see the survey results to have a much larger participation than they've had in the past. I encourage fellow board members here to take the survey as well, and to help get the word out on this survey. So lots to come on it, lots of good information. I can share the document with the 4 of you. Lots of good reading on tax-based replacement and community engagement and other different funding mechanisms. And job replacement type programs that they are soliciting to the legislator for enactment as these plants close. But there's also a lot of discussion, and I know a lot of concern on the other side of the river, as the Sherco plant has a much more imminent closing future of 2030 of the closing of that plant. And there is, I know the public has a great deal of concern on what that would look like from a grid perspective, and will it be robust enough on peak times to be able to meet the needs of the community. So on the side of it, there's also the great concern for the city of Becker, as they make up over 60% of the city of Becker's tax capacity, that when that closes, if the legislator doesn't take action to adopt some of these changes within this plan, they would basically overnight lose a immense amount of tax capacity that I don't know how that would look to community residents to try and flip that switch. Other than that, a real quick brief on the Central Mississippi Regional Planning Partnership. We are one step closer to entering into our purpose and needs statement, which is like the first step that we need to in terms of going into a Tier 1 EAS, right? Yeah. I get EAWs and EAS. So entering into that Tier 1 environmental assessment or a Pell process, which we're leaning towards that Pell process, which is still also part of that Tier 1 environmental. But we also had some discussions about with going into that and some of the agreements that would be needed between Sherburne and Wright County from a cost share perspective when going into these expensive environmental applications, and what those cost shares would be, and making sure we have a joint powers agreement to facilitate that. And then also having discussions about what does the CMRP look like when the actual applications to the into the NEPA process are done between the counties. What is the purpose and functionality of Central Mississippi Regional Planning Partnership, which largely we agreed as a group would become more of a lobbying / communication organization, which may be, we haven't decided yet, better accomplished as a 501c3 than a JPA. But more to come on that.
Derek, with the EAS, don't you have to define an area?
No, actually, it's kind of funny because it's kind of jokingly that we are a transportation solution group. We are not a bridge crossing. So get everybody understand that we are looking for a transportation solution for the Central Mississippi regional area. We are not, a bridge may be one of them, but it could be flying spaceships, or it could be something that we've never thought of. So as we enter into this environmental process, they will help us vet out what that solution could be.
Are we looking at drones?
I
Can
guess.
you ride in a drone?
Some can. How about that thing that Star Trek used, where
Yeah.
they just beamed you from one place to another? Is that going to be an option to look at?
You never know. I mean, there's underground tunnels.
Oh, and that's it.
And we're speaking very facetiously.
Yes.
And thank you for making that clear that it's not another bridge, because that's all I hear from everybody. Oh, what's this group trying to do? They're,
Well,
watch out, they're, yeah,
Well, we do need a crossing.
yeah. I know we need another crossing, but at the same time, there's so many rumors out there that I'm just glad that you're making that clear, that it's not another bridge, that there actually could be, maybe not.
there you go. Well said. I mean, I think a lot of people want it to be a bridge, but at the end of the day, we have to be very objective in going into this process and letting the process tell us what the solution is, not what we want the solution to be.
Yeah. All right, Commissioner Wetter.
I have nothing
All right.
to report.
Just a couple of things. The HHS Advisory Committee met, and one of the things that came out from the Public Health Task Force is they the dental clinic is being very well utilized, and they've got 600 appointments, and they're booked to the end of the year already, so very well utilized. We had a little discussion about the opioid settlement advisory committee and American Rescue Plan, some updates, and also one thing that we talked about at the advisory committee was the mini-series Dope Sick, and it's on Hulu. And so I decided to check it out, and it is so compelling about how the whole thing started with, of course, now I'm blanking out, the big drug. My brain's not working. From Purdue Pharma. But the whole Sackler family and getting the OxyContin, going and how it targeted actually as non-addictive. Only 1% of people are going to get addicted, and it's not like other opioids. And it's really good with Michael Keaton. It's just very well acted. So if you have a chance, I watch very little TV, but every night I've been watching an episode, so it's really good. It really shows the history of how this all got going, which ended up with this settlement that we've got going on today. Central Minnesota Emergency Medical Services met, and they've been doing a number of exercises. Actually, Hurricane Ian requested that they send a team, but they just don't have the resources to send teams down there to help. But they're doing a survey to find out how many AEDs are in squad cars, because there's thousands of new AEDs available that they can replace the ones that are currently in squad cars, and then they could use the other AEDs, donate them somewhere they would be needed. So that's something that's coming out with grants. The Naloxone Grant ended at the end of September, so there's going to be a little gap in time, but they provide a lot of naloxones to people. And they are doing training for peer support that work with people that are prone to addictions. And Marion continues to meet with the contractor that is developing infectious disease exercise, and the final project will be delivered to ambulance services this month. So it should be on time. And we've got a new director for the Emergency Medical Services Regulatory Board, and he's working with the regions to really build good relations and to try to find some more stable funding for the regions. So we'll see how that all goes, but that's just a kind of a quick update. Anyone have anything else to add? There's nothing else to come before the board. We are adjourned at 9:48. Thank you.